Jin of BTS and renowned South Korean chef and entrepreneur Paik Jong-won have officially been cleared of all allegations related to misleading labeling on their jointly promoted highball beverage product, following a detailed review by South Korean prosecutors. The decision, announced in late December 2025, confirmed that no legal violations had occurred, bringing relief to both parties and their supporters. The controversy initially emerged earlier this year when online discussions questioned whether the labeling and marketing of the highball product accurately reflected its ingredients and production process. Some critics claimed the branding could potentially confuse consumers, prompting a formal complaint that led authorities to examine the matter under South Korea's food labeling and consumer protection laws. After months of investigation, prosecutors concluded that the product's labeling complied with all relevant regulations. According to official statements, the descriptions used on the packaging and in promotional materials were deemed transparent and legally acceptable, with no intent to mislead consumers. As a result, the case was dismissed without charges, and both Jin and Paik Jong-won were fully cleared of wrongdoing. For Jin, the resolution of the case marks an important moment, especially as his solo activities continue to expand following his military discharge and successful return to the entertainment industry. Known not only for his musical talent, but also for his cautious public image, Jin was largely absent from direct commentary during the investigation, choosing instead to trust the legal process. Fans praised his calm and responsible approach, noting that he avoided escalating the issue through public statements. Paik Jong-won, a veteran figure in South Korean food industry, also addressed the outcome through representatives, emphasizing that consumer trust has always been his top priority. He reiterated his commitment to transparent business practices and expressed gratitude for the fair review conducted by authorities. Industry insiders pointed out that Paik's long-standing reputation likely contributed to public confidence once the investigation concluded. Following the announcement, public sentiment shifted quickly. Online reactions showed strong support for Jin, with many fans expressing frustration that the issue had been amplified despite ultimately proving unfounded. Hashtags related to Jin's name trended across social media platforms, with ARMY celebrating the news as a vindication of his integrity. Several fans also highlighted the pressure faced by public figures when entering business ventures outside their primary careers. The case has sparked broader discussions in South Korea about how celebrity-backed products are scrutinized, particularly in the food and beverage sector. Experts noted that while consumer protection remains essential, public judgment can often move faster than verified facts, placing immense pressure on celebrities even before investigations are concluded. With the allegations now behind him, Jin is expected to refocus fully on his artistic projects and upcoming appearances. The cleared case allows both Jin and Paik Jong-won to move forward without legal or reputational obstacles, closing a chapter that underscored the challenges celebrities face when navigating business collaborations in the public eye. As 2025 draws to a close, the resolution stands as a reminder of the importance of due process, and for Jin, it reinforces a year marked not only by professional growth, but also by resilience under scrutiny. The conclusion of the investigation also prompted renewed attention on how celebrities like Jin carefully navigate partnerships beyond music. In recent years, idol-led endorsements and co-branded products have become increasingly common in South Korea, but with that visibility comes heightened scrutiny. Legal experts noted that even minor ambiguities in labeling can quickly escalate into public controversies when a global figure is involved. In Jin's case, authorities emphasized that the product in question had gone through standard regulatory review before its release. The investigation found no evidence of falsified information or deceptive marketing strategies, reinforcing the conclusion that the controversy stemmed largely from misinterpretation rather than misconduct. Officials stressed that transparency requirements had been met and that consumers were not misled at any stage. Meanwhile, Paik Jong-won's role in the situation drew attention to the responsibility carried by established business figures when collaborating with global celebrities. Paik's team highlighted that the product development process adhered to industry norms, with labeling reviewed multiple times prior to distribution. They also acknowledged that public feedback, even when critical, plays an important role in communicating with consumers. Industry analysts observed that the rapid spread of unverified claims reflects a broader issue within digital culture, where speculation can quickly overshadow facts. In Jin's case, the absence of immediate public rebuttals was interpreted by some as silence, but supporters later argued it demonstrated confidence in the legal process. This approach, while risky in the short term, ultimately strengthened his position once the official ruling was made public. Following the clearance, fan communities organized online campaigns emphasizing the importance of responsible reporting and fact-checking. Many fans expressed concern about the emotional toll such controversies can place on artists, especially those balancing creative work with commercial ventures. Messages of support flooded social platforms, reinforcing Jin's image as a figure who handled the situation with composure and restraint. From a business perspective, experts predict minimal long-term impact on the product itself. While sales experienced brief fluctuations during the investigation, consumer confidence is expected to stabilize now that the case has been formally closed. Marketing specialists also noted that transparent communication moving forward will be key to rebuilding momentum and preventing similar misunderstandings. As Jin continues to expand his solo career and public activities, the resolution of this case allows him to move forward without lingering legal concerns. The incident ultimately serves as a cautionary example of how quickly narratives can form around public figures, and how critical official clarification is in restoring trust. With the allegations fully dismissed, both Jin and Paik Jong-won close this chapter on firm legal ground, reinforcing the message that verified facts, not speculation, should remain at the center of public discourse. In the aftermath of the official clearance, the case involving Jin has quietly become a reference point within South Korean entertainment and consumer goods industries. Media commentators noted that the situation highlighted a growing tension between celebrity influence and public accountability, especially in an era where idols are increasingly involved in product development rather than simple endorsements. Legal experts noted that even minor ambiguities in labeling can quickly escalate into public controversies when a global figure is involved. In Jin's case, authorities emphasized that the product in question had gone through standard regulatory review before its release. The investigation found no evidence of falsified information or deceptive marketing strategies, reinforcing the conclusion that the controversy stemmed largely from misinterpretation rather than misconduct. Officials stressed that transparency requirements had been met and that consumers were not misled at any stage. Meanwhile, Paik Jong-won's role in the situation drew attention to the responsibility carried by established business figures when collaborating with global celebrities. Paik's team highlighted that the product development process adhered to industry norms, with labeling reviewed multiple times prior to distribution. They also acknowledged that public feedback, even when critical, plays an important role in communicating with consumers. Industry analysts observed that the rapid spread of unverified claims reflects a broader issue within digital culture, where speculation can quickly overshadow facts. In Jin's case, the absence of immediate public rebuttals was interpreted by some as silence, but supporters later argued it demonstrated confidence in the legal process. This approach, while risky in the short term, ultimately strengthened his position once the official ruling was made public. Following the clearance, fan communities organized online campaigns emphasizing the importance of responsible reporting and fact-checking. Many fans expressed concern about the emotional toll such controversies can place on artists, especially those balancing creative work with commercial ventures. Messages of support flooded social platforms, reinforcing Jin's image as a figure who handled the situation with composure and restraint. From a business perspective, experts predict minimal long-term impact on the product itself. While sales experienced brief fluctuations during the investigation, consumer confidence is expected to stabilize now that the case has been formally closed. Marketing specialists also noted that transparent communication moving forward will be key to rebuilding momentum and preventing similar misunderstandings. As Jin continues to expand his solo career and public activities, the resolution of this case allows him to move. As the year draws to a close, the cleared allegations stand as a reminder of the fragile balance between fame and fairness. For Jin, the episode ends not with scandal, but with a reaffirmation of due process, allowing him to step forward into future projects with legal certainty, public support, and a renewed focus on his artistic journey. As discussions surrounding the case gradually faded, attention turned to the broader implications for celebrity branding in South Korea. Analysts noted that the situation involving Jin illustrated how public expectations towards idols have evolved. No longer viewed solely as entertainers, figures like Jin are now perceived as influential decision-makers whose actions, both artistic and commercial, carry weight far beyond the stage. This shift has created a climate where even minor misunderstandings can escalate rapidly. Marketing specialists pointed out that the original controversy gained momentum largely due to fragmented information circulating online, often stripped of regulatory context. Once the prosecutors released their findings, many outlets acknowledged that early speculation had outpaced verified facts, raising concerns about how quickly reputations can be tested in the digital age. For Paik Jong-won, the episode served as a reminder of the heightened responsibility that comes with high-profile collaborations. Although cleared of all allegations, Paik reportedly reviewed internal communication strategies following the investigation, aiming to ensure that future product launches emphasize clarity and consumer understanding from the outset. Industry observers viewed this response as a proactive step rather than a defensive one. Within fan communities, the case sparked deeper conversations about fairness and accountability. Many ARMY members expressed frustration that legal conclusions often receive less attention than the initial accusations. At the same time, some fans acknowledged the importance of public scrutiny, emphasizing that transparency benefits both consumers and public figures when applied responsibly. Entertainment commentators also highlighted Jin's consistent public image throughout the ordeal. His decision to refrain from emotional or defensive statements was widely interpreted as a sign of maturity, reinforcing his reputation as a steady and thoughtful figure within the industry. Rather than overshadowing his career, the controversy ultimately underscored his ability to withstand pressure without compromising professionalism. Looking ahead, experts believe the resolution may influence how future celebrity-backed products are introduced to the market. Clearer disclosures, more detailed explanations, and preemptive communication strategies are expected to become standard practice, particularly when global stars are involved. In retrospect, the case stands as more than a resolved legal matter. It reflects a moment of recalibration, both for the industry and the public, on how trust is built, challenged, and restored. For Jin, the closing of this chapter signals a return to forward momentum, allowing his focus to remain on creative pursuits and meaningful engagement with fans, unburdened by unresolved controversy. As the story concludes, it leaves behind a quiet but significant message. In an era of instant judgment, patience and due process remain essential safeguards for truth.
Behind the scenes, the resolution of the case has also influenced conversations among entertainment agencies and brand partners. Executives within the industry quietly acknowledged that collaborations involving globally recognized idols like Jin now require a higher level of legal and ethical preparation than ever before. With international fan bases closely monitoring every move, even domestic product launches can quickly attract global attention. Legal consultants familiar with celebrity branding pointed out that the investigation's outcome may serve as a precedent rather than a warning. The prosecutor's decision reinforced that compliance with regulations remains the strongest safeguard against reputational damage, regardless of public pressure. In Jin's case, documentation and procedural transparency ultimately outweighed online speculation, demonstrating how factual review can restore credibility even after widespread controversy. For Paik Jong-won, the experience reaffirmed his long-standing philosophy that trust must be built through consistency rather than publicity. Associates close to Paik noted that he remained focused on maintaining product standards throughout the investigation, refusing to engage in public disputes or counter-accusations. This measured response mirrored Jin's own approach, creating a unified front that avoided escalating tensions. Observers also highlighted how the case contrasted with other celebrity controversies that spiraled due to conflicting statements and fragmented narratives. Instead of fueling debate, both parties allowed the investigation to speak for itself. Media analysts suggested that this restraint played a crucial role in preventing long-term damage, as the final ruling arrived without lingering contradictions or unresolved claims. As public attention shifted away, Jin's supporters began reframing the incident as a moment of quiet resilience rather than adversity. Fan discussions increasingly focused on the lessons learned about patience, accountability, and the importance of distinguishing allegations from proven facts. Many noted that while fame amplifies scrutiny, it also amplifies the consequences of misinformation. In the broader cultural context, the case subtly reshaped expectations surrounding celebrity entrepreneurship. Artists stepping into business roles are now seen as stakeholders whose decisions carry real-world impact, not merely brand ambassadors lending their image. This evolving perception places greater responsibility on both artists and audiences to engage with such ventures thoughtfully. With the matter fully resolved, Jin moves forward unencumbered by legal uncertainty, his reputation supported by official findings rather than emotional defense. The episode closes not with vindication alone, but with a renewed emphasis on due process, reminding the public that truth, while sometimes delayed, remains the most definitive resolution. As the dust settles, the case involving Jin is increasingly viewed as an example of how modern celebrity culture intersects with regulatory scrutiny. Analysts pointed out that the speed at which the issue escalated was not driven by official findings, but by online interpretation, often detached from legal frameworks. This gap between public perception and legal reality has become one of the defining challenges for public figures in the digital age. Communication experts observed that Jin's silence during the investigation was frequently misread as avoidance, when in fact it aligned with standard legal guidance. By allowing the process to unfold without emotional rebuttals, Jin avoided the risk of contradictory messaging. Once prosecutors confirmed there had been no wrongdoing, the absence of earlier statements worked in his favor, reinforcing the credibility of the final ruling. For Paik Jong-won, the experience reaffirmed his long-standing philosophy that trust must be built through consistency rather than publicity. Associates close to Paik noted that he remained focused on maintaining product standards throughout the investigation, refusing to engage in public disputes or counter-accusations. This measured response mirrored Jin's own approach, creating a unified front that avoided escalating tensions. Observers also highlighted how the case contrasted with other celebrity controversies that spiraled due to conflicting statements and fragmented narratives. Instead of fueling debate, both parties allowed the investigation to speak for itself. Media analysts suggested that this restraint played a crucial role in preventing long-term damage, as the final ruling arrived without lingering contradictions or unresolved claims. As public attention shifted away, Jin's supporters began reframing the incident as a moment of quiet resilience rather than adversity. Fan discussions increasingly focused on the lessons learned about patience, accountability, and the importance of distinguishing allegations from proven facts. Many noted that while fame amplifies scrutiny, it also amplifies the consequences of misinformation. In the broader cultural context, the case subtly reshaped expectations surrounding celebrity entrepreneurship. Artists stepping into business roles are now seen as stakeholders whose decisions carry real-world impact, not merely brand ambassadors lending their image. This evolving perception places greater responsibility on both artists and audiences to engage with such ventures thoughtfully. With the matter fully resolved, Jin moves forward unencumbered by legal uncertainty, his reputation supported by official findings rather than emotional defense. The episode closes not with vindication alone, but with a renewed emphasis on due process, reminding the public that truth, while sometimes delayed, remains the most definitive resolution. As the dust settles, the case involving Jin is increasingly viewed as an example of how modern celebrity culture intersects with regulatory scrutiny. Analysts pointed out that the speed at which the issue escalated was not driven by official findings, but by online interpretation, often detached from legal frameworks. This gap between public perception and legal reality has become one of the defining challenges for public figures in the digital age. Communication experts observed that Jin's silence during the investigation was frequently misread as avoidance, when in fact it aligned with standard legal guidance. By allowing the process to unfold without emotional rebuttals, Jin avoided the risk of contradictory messaging. Once prosecutors confirmed there had been no wrongdoing, the absence of earlier statements worked in his favor, reinforcing the credibility of the final ruling. For Paik Jong-won, the experience reaffirmed his long-standing philosophy that trust must be built through consistency rather than publicity. Associates close to Paik noted that he remained focused on maintaining product standards throughout the investigation, refusing to engage in public disputes or counteract